Hello there. So the next video I'm going to show you is about making your own fat balls for the birds. So it's similar to the bird feed you made before, where lard, this stuff here, and bird seed are the kind of key ingredients, but we're going to be using a few other bits if you've got them. Don't worry if you haven't got them around the house, that's fine. But what we're going to do is basically make our own fat balls, and there are two different ways of doing this. I'm going to show you both. You can either use yogurt pots, or you can use pine cones, or you can use both and have a go with both methods and hang them out in the garden. If you've got lots of mixture, then you can always use leftovers for the pine cones as well. So basically what we're going to do is going to make a really nutritional, energy boosting mixture of food for our birds, and then you can pop it into the yogurt pots. We're going to leave those to set in the fridge, or you can just directly stick it into the cracks in the pine cones, and the birds will stand on the pine cones and they'll get the feed from there then. Okay, so the ingredients I told you that you guys would need today was some bird seed. Okay, you're also going to need, if you've got some grated cheese. You don't need an awful lot. Some raisins are great as well, and some unsalted nuts. I've chopped mine up just to make sure that they mix in a little bit better, but you don't really need to. And then the things to kind of put our things inside are some yogurt pots, pine cones, and then a nice big mixing bowl to stir it all up in. Alright, so because I'm going to be using both yogurt pots and a pine cone, I need to prepare those first. So I need to use my string, which you guys should have as well. I'm going to cut about this much string off. Now for your yogurt pots, in advance you want to make a little hole in the bottom, a bit like we did for those butterfly feeders. And what you want to do is thread that string through the hole. Okay, so thread it the whole way through, and then you want to make sure that you tie a knot in it big enough that will stop the string from slipping through. So you basically want to make a stopper in it. What you could use instead is maybe like a little twig or something. You could put that in place to stop it from slipping through, to kind of hold it, because you want this to hang up then from your bird feeder. So I'm going to tie a few knots to make sure that it's bulky enough to stop the string from slipping through. There we go. Fantastic. That's a nice bulky knot. So now my yogurt pot bird feeder can hang up. Okay, so that's ready to go. And then my pine cone. I'm going to try and pick my bigger one. I think this is the biggest one I've got. So you can find these in the woods where you can see that you've got pine trees. They don't just fall in the kind of autumn time, they do fall at other times of year. So I literally found this and a bunch of other ones just on the floor today, so you don't need to worry about there not being enough available. So I'm going to tie this around the bottom layer of pine needles, okay, till it comes around like this, and then I'm going to tie a knot in it again. This is just so that I can hang this up for my birds to enjoy. So again, I'm going to tie a little knot in there, double knot it to make sure it doesn't come loose, and that will then hang just like this. My birds can enjoy the food from it. I'm going to put those to one side now, so don't really need them at the moment. What I need to start doing now is working on my mixture. Okay, so I'm going to take some of the bird seed that I was using for my toilet roll tube feeder earlier, and I'm going to pour some of that into my bowl. Okay, so just to show you, I've got about this much bird seed in there. I'm going to add my grated cheese. There we go. I'm also going to add my raisins or sultanas, and I'm going to add my nuts. Make sure that these are not salted or dry roasted, they're just completely plain nuts. You can get nuts that are especially kind of put together for birds, but if you've just got plain unsalted, not roasted nuts in the house, that's fine. And birds are safe to eat almonds, hazelnuts, walnuts, peanuts they like especially, but cashews and stuff are fine too. So I'm going to give this dry mixture a bit of a stir now. Okay, so I'm going to mix that up so it's well combined. So I've got a nice mixture of different foods. The cheese might seem like a little bit of a funny one, but that's completely safe for them. Milk isn't safe, but cheese, once it's fermented and nice and solid, that's a really nice way for them to get some fat into their bodies. Now I need to add some of my lard. So this is the stuff that's going to keep it all together. So it starts to get a little bit squidgy and messy here. So I'm going to use my knife that I used earlier. I'm going to take a nice decent chunk of lard. Again, you want your lard so it's soft. You don't want it to be rock solid, but you really don't want it to be runny either, otherwise this won't really work. So it's a bit of a block at the minute, but I'm just going to try and add in my seed bit by bit. If I break it off into chunks, that might make it a bit easier. So I'm going to start to mix it together with my spoon. Okay. Now, if you're feeling particularly brave, a much quicker way of doing this is by getting your hands involved. So now that I've got everything in there all together, I'm going to use my hands. So you can squidge it all together. So it should be full of seeds. It shouldn't just be like a ball of lard. It should have loads of seeds in there as well, holding it together. But you don't want it too dry. Okay, so if you think that, oh, maybe I could do with it's crumbling perhaps, and you think, oh, maybe I could do with a bit more lard, it's probably a good idea to add some. You want it to stick together nicely, you don't want it to be crumbling. Okay, so my mixture's looking really good. It's kind of staying together now as a blob of seeds and lard. Okay, as long as it stays together, it doesn't really matter. If you want to add more seed to it, you can. But as long as it sticks together, that's absolutely fine. Now I'm going to do the fiddly bit first. I'm going to work on my pine cone. So I'm going to take my pine cone and I'm going to take some of my mixture and I'm going to put it in between the needles. So I'm going to kind of squidge it in, just like this. There we go. Squidge it into all the little cracks so it's nice and deeply in. I'll give the birds something to peck at. They've got really small beaks that are adapted for getting into tiny cracks and grooves on trees and things, and in bark and underneath stones and things like that, so they will not struggle at all to get the seeds out of our pine cones. I'm going to squidge some more into some of the gaps here. Lovely. And I'm going to keep working my way around my pine cone until it's nice and covered in this lovely sticky material. Fantastic. And this doesn't really need to go in the fridge. You can pop it in the fridge if you'd like it to be a bit firmer before it goes out. If you think, oh, it looks a bit greasy, I'd like to let it harden up a bit first, you can do that, but they're perfectly fine to just go out as they are. Now to finish off, I'm going to put a bit more on the top of my feeder. Okay. And there is my pine cone. So my pine cone is nice and covered in all this material. Plenty of stuff there for the birds to enjoy. I'm going to set that to one side now. I'm just going to show you how we want to fill up our yogurt pots. So the string should be in the bottom there, keeping it nice and steady. And I'm going to take my mixture, make sure it's nice and combined, and I'm going to put it into the yogurt pot. So if you don't really want to get your hands involved, you can just use a spoon or whatever for this instead. But I'm going to squidge it right down inside so it's all compressed. There we are. So it's all nice and tightly packed in there. And there we go. So I've got this nice and full of stuff now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this one set in the fridge so that it doesn't just kind of plop out of my yogurt pot when it's hung upside down, because it's still quite runny. And I'm going to go and hang it up. So I've decided to hang my pine cone feeder just on a cane that we've had around the garden. I've just stuck it into a pot here and hung it from the end. So it's nice in this area that I know the birds like to come down and pick off insects from the gravel and from the shed and things. So I know this is a nice sheltered spot for them. It's also quite nice to have bird feed in different places around the garden, because different birds will kind of spend time in different areas. So if you do have a garden to put these bird feeders out in, then yeah, dotting them around is really nice for them. If you don't have a bird feeder though, that's a garden, that's absolutely fine. You could hang them out on the front, so you could hang it out of your windows or off kind of any pots you've got out front, or you could even hang them in local parks on fences and things like that for them to enjoy. So you certainly aren't limited. If you don't have a garden, you can still enjoy the birds and enable them to benefit from this extra bit of food. So I've got my yogurt pot feeder in the fridge. What I'll do when I take that out is I can either hang it directly in the yogurt pot, just hang it out, and the birds will perch on the sides of the pot and go kind of upside down and feed. Or if you make sure that the string on the inside, the knot on the inside, digs right into the mixture, then once it's set and gone hard, you can carefully pull the yogurt pot off, and then you will have this set kind of mould shaped like the yogurt pot that you can hang up using that piece of string. So it's up to you. See how it turns out when it's set, and I'll add some pictures of that to the end of this video so you can see for yourselves how mine turned out. Hopefully you'll see lots of things like robins, wrens and different kinds of tits enjoying these feeders, and fingers crossed that they are nice and successful and you get some lovely pictures of them to share with me for Friday's session. Thanks very much guys, see you soon.